Hello and welcome back to my channel where we explore all things Bronte. I don't know about you, but it's that funny bit between Christmas and New Year where none of us really know what day it is and we're all kind of living off leftovers, and the recycling bin is absolutely filled with chocolate wrappers, and we all have these really good intentions like getting dressed before lunchtime. Yes, and I am wearing my pyjamas still, but hey, I bet you are too, so I don't feel too bad. So if you found yourself curled up on the sofa, half in a food coma, wondering what to watch next, you might want to head over to the 2022 film Emily, which tells the story of Emily Bronte's life. It's a wild, windswept, dramatic reimagination of her story, and today we're going to talk about what it gets right, what it doesn't, and what on earth was going on with some of those choices. So grab yourself a tin of sweets and let's dive in. Oh, I've lost the remote. What have I done with the remote control already? Right, where were we? Play. Play. So, the film kicks off around the time that William Waitman, Patrick's assistant curate, arrives in Haworth, with Branwell Bronte supposedly about to head off to the Royal College of Art in London. And Charlotte and Emily are preparing to go to Roe Head School. Charlotte is going to teach and Emily is going to be a student. Now, here's the thing. In real life, those events didn't actually overlap quite so neatly as they make out in the film. Waitman arrived in 1839, whereas Charlotte and Emily were at Roe Head School back in 1835. And Branwell did actually go to London the same year, but not within a few days as the film might suggest. So the timeline kind of has been bent and twisted to make everything happen all at once, as though the Brontes were living in some sort of soap opera where everyone conveniently pops in and goes at the same time for dramatic purposes. One of my main bugbears with this film is exactly that, the timeline. It is all over the place. They make it look as though Emily Brontë wrote Wuthering Heights after Branwell's death, as if somehow it came out of grief for him, when in reality she wrote it well before that. It was entirely her own creation, her own world, her own voice. And Branwell didn't need to die for her to find inspiration. She had plenty of that already. And then there's that scene where they hold a big party to celebrate Wuthering Heights being published, complete with her real name on the cover. I nearly dropped my mince pie watching that bit. I mean, in real life, of course, it came out under the name Ellis Bell, and hardly anyone knew who'd written it until, of course, after her death. And the idea of Emily standing around at a party for her, while people toast her book, feels wildly out of character. I can just imagine her hiding behind the curtains, muttering about wanting to be left in peace with her dog. She would have never have agreed to anything like that in the first place, and it is so wrong that it makes my teeth hurt. The film also suggests that Charlotte only started writing after Emily's death because Emily told her to, which is another bit of creative license. Charlotte was already writing long before that. It's as though the filmmakers kind of took the Bronte timeline, gave it a really good shake, and then decided, oh, that'll do. So yes, the story works beautifully as a film, but as far as accuracy goes, nah, it's a bit like those Christmas leftovers you find in the fridge, a mixed of things that don't quite belong together, but somehow they made it into the same dish. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. I promise, I'm not going to moan throughout this video. Right. Get me pyjamas sorted, get me reindeer ears sorted. Making my head itch. But they're pretty cool. It's like nearly a hat, isn't it? It's as close as I get to an indoor hat this time of year. I feel them wobbling though. Right, let's talk about the people in the film and where it all gets a little bit creative. Let's get comfy for this. Charlotte is the first on my list. So in the film, she spends a lot of her time being mean to Emily, saying things like, full of selfish people who only care for themselves, when talking about Wuthering Heights. I don't know where that voice came from. Oh, Charlotte, stop being so mean to your sisters. Well, sister, we don't know where Anne's gone. Charlotte could be critical, yes, but she loved her sister fiercely and would have stood up for her over anyone else. This constant eye rolling and snarky comments just doesn't feel like the Charlotte that I've got to know. And yes, she is shown taller than Anne. Not a giant, but just a bit taller. But it still feels a bit exaggerated compared to her real life proportions that we know are true. Patrick Brontë is another problem. He's portrayed as this constant fire and brimstone figure. Oh, Patrick. No, you're not even Patrick, are you? You're not like Patrick. He wouldn't be that mean. Come on, be nice. Do you realise how famous your daughter is going to be one day and you're being mean to her? Nope. Forever angry and disappointed with lines like, "We expect greater things," or "You should not bring shame on this house, Emily Jane." And at one point he hits Bramwell with a belt, which I can't imagine him actually doing. The real Patrick we know was strict, yes, and he had high standards, but he was also kind and thoughtful and deeply caring. He set expectations for his children, but he wasn't a relentless thunderstorm of judgment like shown here. Poor Anne barely appears. She's at home at the start, she disappears for most of the film, and then she suddenly reappears at the end with no explanation. Aunt Bramwell is around early on in the film, great, but when her illness is announced in a letter to Charlotte and Emily in Brussels, we never hear of her again. And then there's Tabby the servant and the pet's keeper and Flossie, all conveniently absent or disappear for long stretches, or don't make an appearance at all. Maybe the actors all went off to the Black Bull during filming and had too many to drink and just fell asleep on the table. And then we've got Ellen Nussey. She comes across as flustered, a little breathless and dim. I mean, the real Ellen was sensible, calm, intelligent and grounded, someone you could rely on, whereas the film version is a bit sort of scatterbrained and flirty and flighty, not at all the steadfast friend that she actually was. I can't imagine her. Look, she can't even get over a style. Just jump, woman, jump. Simple, just one leg after the other. Come on, you can do it. Well done. And then there's Bramwell. His storyline in the film is a chaotic mix of his real-life affairs, bits of Wuthering Heights and some entirely new drama with Mrs. Linton. It's confusing, it's clumsy and wild, like someone tried to juggle too many spinning plates at once. His real complexity is mostly lost in the chaos. So in short, the film gets some of the names right and gives a few glimpses of the real personalities, but the characters themselves have kind of been simplified or exaggerated or just sidelined completely. Dramatic? Yes. Entertaining? Definitely. Historically accurate? Not so much. Still, if you're sat on the sofa in need of some period drama and some swooshing skirts while you're in your pyjamas at 3 in the afternoon, it's definitely worth a watch. The film does capture Emily's shyness really well, apart from that party bit that we mentioned, but anyway. Though sometimes she speaks up in ways that don't really quite ring true. But I did enjoy the small moments of curiosity and quiet rebellion, like when she tries alcohol with Bramwell one night. I think it was great. I can totally imagine her wanting to understand why men make such a fuss over drinking. And maybe having that little chuckle at the fuss herself. But then we get to the big romance with William Waitman. Why am I doing that? There is absolutely no evidence that Emily ever had any kind of romantic relationship with him. None whatsoever. No, I don't want to see that. Cover it up. No one wants to see those bits of flesh. No. Waitman, yes, he was charming in a flirt, and actually he even managed to win over Aunt Branwell and Tabby, which honestly, I mean, that would not have been an easy task. He sent valentines to the sisters one year, and I actually did a whole video on that, so I'll pop that in the description if you want to have a proper look into it. But the idea of him and Emily sneaking off into a barn and getting jiggy while it was thundering and lightning outside, completely, utterly wrong. I mean, I know filmmakers feel they need romance to keep the audience interested, but showing Emily's flesh like that, it just felt so wrong. I mean, can you imagine how mortified she'd be if she knew that people were watching that scene and they thought it actually happened in real life? I mean, it's one of those moments when I really wish filmmakers just trusted Emily's mind, her thoughts, her curiosity, and that quiet rebellion. I mean, that would have carried the story rather than relying on a body to do all the work. It also raises this question, which has been playing in my head quite a lot. And why change history and make it Emily instead of Anne? Is it because people still believe Emily was the better writer, so no one would want to watch a story about Anne and William? Or are they riding off the back of Wuthering Heights' popularity? If that's the case, it either means they don't care enough about Emily and the correct version of events, or they don't value Anne enough to focus on a story, but not that she got jiggy in a barn, by the way. No, that's still wrong no matter what. I know I'm being really picky here, but it really bothers me that history is rewriting to suit a modern audience. We're not stupid, we can work it out for ourselves. Right, sorry. Back to the film. So there are still things to like. Emily's quiet intelligence and curiosity does come through in little gestures, and there's a tenderness in the way the story shows her observing the world and the people around her. It just feels like the filmmakers kind of forgot that her mind, not her body, is what makes her so compelling. Now, one part of the film I absolutely adore is the mask scene. Yes, there is something I do like, I promise you. Let's get comfy for this. Oh, I love this bit. Put the mask on, Emily, put it on. So, it has everything I love about the Brontes world. We've got gothic atmosphere, we've got mystery and just a hint of the supernatural. There's that delicious tension of not knowing what's real. Is Emily acting, or is she actually possessed by her mother's spirit? That uncertainty is pure Victorian drama at its finest. I mean, we know there was a real mask in the family, thought to have been a wedding present to Patrick and his late wife. And we also know that the children used it, maybe not for talking to the afterlife, of course, but we know that they played with it. The film has taken that historical nugget and it's turned it into this eerie, emotional moment that perfectly captures the family's longing for their mother. It's heartbreaking, beautiful, and for me, the absolute highlight of the film. I love the way it also taps into those Victorian fascination with ghosts and the afterlife and all those parlour games that they played on long, dark evenings. It makes you think about how imaginative the Brontes were, how they could take simple, everyday things like this mask and turn it into a tool for storytelling, for exploring grief, for connecting with what they've lost. One thing I love about this scene, it makes you question Emily herself. Is she fully in control, a clever little trickster testing her siblings? Or is there a touch of something beyond, some sort of spiritual presence guiding her? I mean, the way the scene is shot, with dark corners and slightly tipsy men who sober up in fear, and sensible women suddenly turning back into children, it keeps you questioning. I mean, everyone in the room becomes part of the story, and you can't quite tell who is in charge or what's real and what's not, and what is happening. Even the wind on the moors feels like a character breaking through the windows, wrapping around them all and adding to the sense of menace and mystery. This to me is the Brontes style. Their writing, confusing you, challenging your assumptions and making you question people's motives and of course the characters. It turns the ordinary into something terrifying, the simple into profound. It's suspense, it's gothic, it's emotional, and it's intelligent all at once. And in a film that sometimes takes liberties with history, this scene got everything perfectly right. Well, for me anyway. Honestly, I could watch the mask scene on repeat. I could curl up in my pyjamas with a cup of tea, wondering which corner of the room the next shadow will come from. It's that mix of thrill and melancholy and dark humour that makes the Brontës so compelling. And the filmmakers got that part absolutely spot on. Yes, chef's kiss for that. Oh, the smell when you open the tub of sweets. Oh, it smells amazing. Not quite the same though, they don't have those shiny wrappers, but I understand why they changed them. But you do find wrappers for a long time, don't you, after Christmas, when they've kind of gone behind the sofa and between the cushions. Or maybe that's just me. I think I might just have one. You grow up knowing, don't you, by the colours what sweets what, or at least I did. You know, it's part of your education growing up. Obviously learning things like, I don't know, how to cross a road and money and, you know, temperatures for ovens and things. And what sweets have what colour wrappers. Now, one thing the film really gets right is the costumes. Michael O'Connor, the costume designer, did an absolute stunning job. I absolutely love that he recreated the Thunderbolt dress. Oh, the original never survived, so we've never actually seen it, but we do know it exists because good old Ellen Nussey described it in a letter. Only a true Bronte fan or someone who's really done their homework would take that little historical clue and put two and two together and bring it to life on screen. And the film's version is gorgeous. I mean, it was on display in the parsonage for a while, and I really did enjoy being able to go and have a closer look at it. You know, I was looking at the hems and all the details. And you could see the thought that had gone into the fabric and the cut, and of course the lightning strike effect on the fabric. It felt like such a respectful nod to Emily and to the people who'd kept those stories alive. The rest of the wardrobe makes perfect sense too. Charlotte's clothes are slightly more fashionable, which makes complete sense for her practically because she was outward facing and her personality, and it all just works. Emily's are warm, practical and reused, exactly what you would expect for a young woman in a modest parson's household. The bonnets, the gloves, the shawls, the muted tones, it all feels lived in and it all feels right. Even the men's clothes fit the era beautifully, with just the right mix of everyday wear and clerical neatness. The music by, and I'm really sorry I can't say your name, you know what I'm like, I can't pronounce things, is haunting and emotional. It has that sort of drifting, windswept quality that feels exactly like walking across the moors with your coat pulled tight and your thoughts just somewhere off in the distance. The cinematography is equally lovely. Those endless skies, the wide open moors, the rolling hills, I mean, to me, that is the Brontës landscape. It's not polished, it's not postcard perfect, it's just honest and wild and a little bit lonely. Now, the house that they used wasn't the parsonage, of course. It's a period home in Dent in Cumbria, but it works beautifully for the film, though I did have a little laugh at the tiny graveyard with maybe 12 graves tucked neatly together. Of course, in real Haworth, there's more than 40,000 souls resting there, so it's a slight understatement. And of course, Branwell is buried practically outside the front door. That's another interesting creative decision. Whereas obviously in reality, the Bronte family are buried in a vault beneath the floor of the church. And of course, William Wakeman also has a memorial plaque inside the church. He isn't buried just outside the front either. So seeing the film rearrange the geography a bit did make me raise my eyebrows and bite my tongue. But still, despite these little oddities, the overall atmosphere is beautifully done. I mean, you can forgive those little things when it is just done so well. It looks right, it feels right, and for a moment you can imagine yourself stepping into their world with bonnets and mud-splattered hems and just all that. Right. So overall, Emily is a beautiful film. It's passionate, it's emotional, atmospheric and visually stunning. It sweeps you up in big feelings and windswept landscapes. And if you're in the mood for something dramatic and moody, it absolutely delivers. But accuracy? No, not even close. And I can see exactly what Frances O'Connor was trying to do. She wanted to give Emily her own story, her own inner world, her own version of a life that history didn't record in detail. And in that sense, she did succeed. I mean, Emily comes across as vivid, complicated and human, which is lovely to see. The problem is that for those of us who spend our days knee-deep in Bronte facts, letters and timelines and tiny historical quirks, the film can feel like a bit of jigsaw puzzle being forced into the wrong hole. The timeline slips around, important people wander off never to return, Patrick gets rewritten as a thunderous villain, and the romance plot takes centre stage, when, just in case you haven't heard me say this, there is absolutely no evidence in it ever actually happening. But, and this is the important bit, if this film sent even a handful of people home thinking, oh, I must read Wuthering Heights, or who exactly were these Brontes, then it's done something good. It's opened a door. And once people step through that door and start learning the real story, that's where the magic is. And that is exactly why I make my videos. I want to share the Brontes' real lives, their real voices, and all that incredible detail that makes their world so rich. I want people to know the truth behind the myths and to love these writers for who they genuinely were. And I promise you, I can do all that just like the director tried to do, but without feeling the need to whip my pyjamas off. You're quite safe. It's all storytelling. No flesh required. What did I just say? Jiggy. Ugh. While it was thundering out, I lost my train of thought then. I was thinking of Jiggy. At the Brontes landscape. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Oh. The cinematography, if you're in the mood for... Oh, sorry, throwing cushions at you. It's question time again, and I would love to hear your answers, so pop them in the comments below if you can put your mince pie down for 2 minutes to type, that is. So, question number 1. Have you seen the Emily film yet? Where did you see it? In the cinema when it came out? On the TV one evening in your pyjamas like me? Question number 2. Do you think it captures Emily's spirit even if it's twisted the facts a bit? And number 3. What's your view on filmmakers turning the Brontes into romantic dramas? Do you think it adds something or takes something away? Let me know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you again for watching. If you like this video, please do the whole likey, subscribey, hypey thing because it really helps me out and it lets YouTube know that we want to watch more Bronte content. Have a lovely rest of your Christmas break. Happy New Year for next week, and good luck with the post-Christmas house cleanup. Yes. I will see you all back to normal, which is the Friday after next, for more Bronte adventures. Take care. Bye.